What if the fate of your land, your home, was decided by people thousands of miles away? That's exactly what happened in 1947. The United Nations presented a plan. They would divide Palestine into two states, one for Jews, one for Arabs. But instead of peace, this plan lit the match that would ignite one of the longest-running conflicts in modern history. So what happened? Who agreed? Who refused? And why did war break out just months later? This is the story of the Partition Plan and how it changed everything.
After World War II, the world was in chaos. 6 million Jews had been murdered in the Holocaust. The West was flooded with sympathy, and pressure mounted to give Jews a homeland. Meanwhile, in Palestine, Arabs were still under British control. The British had promised independence to the Arab population for decades, but never delivered. Instead, they were caught between rising tensions. Jewish militias wanted a state, Arab Palestinians demanded their own independence, and violence was escalating on both sides. In 1947, exhausted and desperate to leave, Britain handed the Palestine problem to the United Nations. The UN formed a committee and proposed a bold solution: partition Palestine into two separate states. 56% of the land would go to the Jewish state, 43% would go to the Arab state. Jerusalem would be placed under international control. But here's the catch. At the time, Arabs made up 2/3 of the population. Jews, many of them recent immigrants, owned less than 7% of the land, but were offered the majority of territory. Arab leaders across the region rejected the plan. They saw it as an injustice, a foreign imposition ignoring the rights of the indigenous people. But the Jewish leadership, led by David Ben-Gurion, accepted it. They saw it as a chance to finally build their own state. And on November 29, 1947, the UN General Assembly passed Resolution 181, the official vote to divide Palestine. Palestine was now on the brink. Immediately, civil war broke out between Jewish and Arab communities within the land. Jewish militias like the Haganah and Irgun launched attacks. Palestinian fighters responded with ambushes and raids. Massacres were committed by both sides. Fear spread across villages. Then came the turning point. On May 14, 1948, the British officially withdrew and Israel declared independence. Within hours, neighboring Arab countries, Egypt, Syria, Jordan, Iraq, and Lebanon, invaded. This was no longer a civil war. It had become the first Arab-Israeli war. The UN's plan was meant to bring peace. Instead, it triggered war, mass displacement, and a conflict that's still unresolved. But the War of 1948 wasn't just about armies. It changed borders. It emptied villages. It created hundreds of thousands of refugees.
In the next episode, we'll dive into the Nakba, what Palestinians call the catastrophe, and the massive displacement that followed. You'll learn how entire cities were emptied and families never allowed to return. Subscribe.